Hello and welcome to Not Just Ads. I'm Alessandro De Zanche. Ads are my initials, and I am a monetization consultant for 20 years at the intersection between media, advertising, and marketing. I've covered areas like ad tech, media, research, telco, and agency. And today I'm also advising companies on AI and the use of AI agents. In this episode, I talked to Ian Dowds, the CEO of UKOM, the entity overseeing the UK online audience measurement standards. And we discuss topics like data integrity, governance, transparency, but more than anything, the impact that having a measurement standard has on media and advertising, but also society at large. Enjoy. Hi, Anne. Welcome to Not Just Ads. At the time when we are talking, the industry is talking about monopolies, antitrust. There are also self-interested views and narratives. And so I think a source of truth in audience measurement is more important than ever. So let's deep dive into our core topic today. What is UCOM? What is Ipsos Iris?
Well, hi, Alessandro. Thanks for having me on Not Just Ads and for allowing me to give you a little bit of background. So, UKOM is UK online measurement. Um, and the easiest way of saying it, I think, is that I am the bastard four-letter acronym love child of 13 letters of acronym. UKOM is owned by the IAB, the AOP, the Association of Online Publishers, ISBA, the advertisers trade body, and we also have the IPA on our exec board. So we are run by the industry for the industry, and fundamentally UCOM sets and governs the UK industry standard for audience measurement across PC, tablet, and smartphone. So that's what we do. Our partner, we exclusively endorse Ipsos and Ipsos Iris to deliver that audience measurement for the industry. And they have been doing since 2021 and will continue to do so until 2027. And I guess the key thing to remember or to recognize about UCOM is that we measure the audience of content. We're not about measuring ad campaigns. Origin is in the process of trying to deliver a solution for measuring ad campaigns. UCOM is about measuring the audience and basically the UK population's use of online sites and apps across desktop, tablet, and smartphone.
And how does it work at a high level?
I'm glad you asked only for a high level because it's only the high level that I'm able to to explain it. So fundamentally, Ipsos Iris works by fusing a people panel, 10,000 people and 25,000 devices, with a big data set which comes from census data from the tagging of websites and SDKs in apps, along with server-to-server data from the likes of YouTube and Apple News, which is validated against the panel. I will say that in the methodology, Ipsos build a synthetic panel equivalent to around about 1 million people. I'm not going to deep dive into synthetic data and the building of it, but you can be assured that we've had expert and independent verification of the robustness of the building of that panel. Fundamentally, Alessandro, it's a hybrid data set, big data and a genuine real people panel, which I have to say, there's much debate about panels versus big data. This methodology fuses the two. It's really important that somewhere in the process there are real people, because UCOM is about reporting on the behavior of real people, not devices, machines, accounts, bots, in human traffic, the like, it is very important that the UKOM data that's reported to the industry is real people.
And what is really, really important to underline is that it's not just for media, for advertising, but it sets industry standards that touch a lot
It,
of entities
it, it,
in everyday's life of the whole
it,
nation.
John, you're so right. It's so much noise in the marketplace is about media, marketing, programmatic, and advertising. It's important to recognise that UCOM endorsed data is used by the likes of Ofcom, the government state regulator for communications, by the Competitions and Markets Authority, the CMA. The data is subscribed to and built into the BBC's reporting of audience data. It's it's absolutely fundamental to, as you say, a whole range of the industry that isn't just about advertising. In fact, last week, Ofcom released their Online Nations report for 2024, and I think tomorrow they've got their event where they're kind of launch it in real life. So much of the information for Ofcom's Online Nation report comes from Ipsos Iris because it gives a really robust, really clear picture of how the UK population behaves, and not just about where you can advertise. I think the Ofcom report covers from usage of all social media down to how the UK population is using dating sites or gaming and gambling sites or online banking, the whole range. So you're absolutely right that it's not just about media and marketing.
But back to media and marketing, though it sounds like a no-brainer. It's a source of truth in a very fragmented world.
Yeah.
The media and advertising sectors are often, though, living in a bubble, very self-referential.
Yeah.
What is the relationship between UCOM, Ipsos, Iris, and the media and advertising industry?
Well, the fact that we're owned by ISBAR, IAB, and AOP, and with the IPA on our board, means that we have a very, very good representation of being supported by the industry. So pretty much all the major news and magazine publishers subscribe to Ipsos Iris. As you say, the BBC, Sky, ITV, and in the agency land, we've got great support from Havas, Dentsu, Good Stuff, Seven Stars, and others. We're always talking to the other agencies about engaging more and supporting the industry standard. But the world is complicated, Alessandro, and there's a lot of data sources out there.
Tell me about it.
I know you know. Yeah, and well, we've always been pretty clear, or I've always been very clear, that data is not a zero-sum game. I've never said you should only use UCOM endorsed data for everything you do around media planning. What that does mean is that people do use other sources, and some people don't seem to be quite as focused on governance and industry standards as others. I'm always trying to encourage those agencies that don't subscribe to lean in a bit more, and we have ongoing conversations. But yeah, it's fair to say that I'd love to have all of the big agency groups on board. Uh,
What is interesting now is that UCOM Ipsos Iris are extending their scope, including activation. I've seen a very interesting presentation by Ozone on how they use and they will use UCOM Ipsos Iris to validate their data for
yeah,
digital advertising.
yeah, Alessandro, it's really it's been a massive step. But when we appointed Ipsos to be the provider of the industry standard, we were told there were four things that kind of the industry really wanted from the new supplier. One was they wanted it to be relevant in the programmatic space. They wanted to see inside YouTube. They wanted to extend video coverage, and they wanted it to be integratable with agencies' proprietary tech stacks. And one of the, well, I'd say the big one of those, or the first one of those, is activation in the programmatic space, and it's with a partnership with Ozone that has allowed this to happen only in the last couple of months. But it's a massive step forward that Ozone are using Ipsos Iris to validate against the audiences that they're making available for quality publishing in the programmatic space. It's a massive step forward. It's very, very early days. I think we saw at an event recently, Ozone showed the first three, the result of the first 3 days of tests with one client, and compared with what they'd been using before, using Ipsos Iris, they've been able to identify and validate 15% more of an available and engaged audience for an advertiser, and had been able to deliver, I think it was 5% lower acquisition per user. So already within 3 days of it being activated, one of the premium steps into programmatic, as in Ozone, is already seeing governance delivering value, and that's really, really
Fantastic.
important. Yeah, so Ipsos, UKOM is about governance. That's our raison d'etre. It's really nice in theory, but it's even better when the governance of something and the value of that governance is tangible, and Ozone are already seeing it. And Ozone are already, at the moment, they're validating just demographic audiences, but they're already exploring what can be the next step. How much broader can we go within Ipsos Iris about validating other audiences?
And it's fantastic because it's a premium alliance of media companies that traditionally as a category has been always following, not leading. In this
Yeah.
case, it's quality media owners spearheading transparency, vetting what they are selling to their advertisers, and setting is not just good for them, they are also setting a precedent in the industry, I think, because if you're not validating your what you sell, what you use
Do,
against the standard, well, then why are you not doing it?
do,
That
do
would
you
be
know
the
what?
question.
Yeah, do you know what, Alessandro? It's very interesting. When UCOM was first formed back in 2009, it was because pre-programmatic, way before even programmatic was a twinkle in any entrepreneur's eye, um, online audience was like the Wild West. Everybody was just shouting numbers. It was number wanging. Everybody just said a number. And it was as a result of that that the industry said, hold on, we need to cut through, need to provide a framework where we can recognize robust data, and there's a standard. We got to the point where everyone was recognizing that, and UCOM was in place, and then programmatic came along, and suddenly people said, we don't need that kind of old style measurement. Guess what? We've got some brilliant. It tended to be proprietary data. It tended to be they tended to have NASA scientists working in their organizations, and it was often delivering very, very, very clever stuff.
The
And
silver bullet.
it became the Wild West again. And it's such a massive step forward for a quality player like Ozone in that space to say, do you know what? Just because it's programmatic doesn't mean it's right and it's brilliant. There has to be an element of validation of governance, and UCOM and Ipsos Iris playing a part in that is a massive step forward. It's one of the things that I'm most excited about. I'm most proud about and pleased that Ipsos have been able to deliver it. It's taken, nothing is simple. The other thing in programmatic, everyone says it's easy. You just plug it in and you flick a switch. It's never that easy. If it's easy, it ain't right. And to be fair, I think Ozone themselves say the way they do it is it's about doing the right thing and not doing the easy thing. And I'm delighted that they've done the right thing, and it's proven to be making life easier for them as well.
100%. Shortcuts have always led to cliffs in the industry, and
Yes.
and without stopping at the edge, just jumping.
Yeah.
But it's not just about media owners. It's also agencies. It's also I mean media owners, traditional publishers. It's
Yeah.
also media agencies. It's also TV.
Yeah.
I've seen.
Yeah. The agencies again is a key one. You know, if lives in the world of measurement bodies has got tricky, the lives of agency planners and agency CEOs has got even trickier. It's really hard, and they've all had to become experts in something that they're not necessarily experts in. You know, building tech and integrating data sets, and most of them have done it very successfully. Not all of them, I would say, are have are feeding data sets into those tech stacks that are that have the integrity that their clients might assume that they should have. It's really interesting. We saw Havas talk about how they have integrated UKOM data from Ipsos into their converged proposition, which is basically their tech and data stack, which is basically going to inform all of their digital planning and digital activation decisions. And it was
And
really
I've
good.
seen. No,
Go
sorry
on.
to interrupt you, but I've seen that presentation, and what really stuck with me was how UCOM Ipsos Iris has been able to bring data points to life into real people.
What I loved about it, again, it chimes with everything I've said about data not being a zero sum game and that you should only use UCOM. I love the fact that they make very clear that in there's YouGov data, there's Kantar TGI data, there's Barb data, but they talk about data integrity and that you can only use data that you can have faith in when you're building these propositions. And so I think it was Jordan Reddington from Havas talked in detail about it, and he talked very purely and very technically about it. My analogy, as you know, Alessandro, I'm not in the least bit technical, and my analogy has always been there are lots of agencies out there selling to clients saying, and we take 100, 150, 200 individual data sources, and they come in and we merge them together, they're all integrated, and it delivers. I go, sounds brilliant, but if you give me a champagne cocktail and you tell me there's 100 ingredients to it, it's so unique, and there's one drop of piss in that cocktail, I don't want it.
Totally.
Okay,
I don't
and
want it.
if you tell me that every single ingredient has been quality tested and validated, I go, I love it. You know, I want it, and I bet it tastes better. And what Havas seem to have done is gone. We only want to use the best available data sources, and by best we mean robust, transparent. I think Jordan Havas, his line was, "I want my entire team to be able to lift the lid on Converged and say to our clients, come in and have a look. We'll show you, and you can see. You don't have to dig through a minestrone of mess. It's all very, very clear what we've done and why we've done it. And interestingly, I saw the day after he presented at the event, I saw that they had won a new client, Stork, Storck, the client that does Werther's and Toffee. And I loved the fact that the client's quote said, have us, something along the lines of it, and have us proved rigor and flair in their planning process. And I thought, do you know what? That word rigor is so important, and it was clear from what they presented the day before. So I loved it. So I loved it. So fingers crossed that one, if they win more clients, one of the reasons is that the clients see rigor, they see the data and the quality of the data and the governance of the data within Converge, and that others come on board with it.
I'm sure, because when you mentioned, and I love the expression, data integrity, is not just about data, is not about just about a technical attribute. It's about the integrity of the whole proposition.
Yeah.
It's about transparency, and I'm not surprised that those that are using UKOM are also those that have pushed and focused on these aspects of digital
Well,
advertising, and they are spearheading this.
the integrity comes, and people are going to get sick of hearing me say the word in 2025. The integrity comes from the process of governance. Over the last 4, 5, 6 years in media, there's been a lot of talk about ESG, and everybody stood on their soapboxes and talked about the importance of ESG. When they've actually gone to talk about in detail about it, they've tended to focus on the E and the S, and G tends to be the less sexy one. And the G of governance is absolutely critical. And I think we're about to enter a period where actually clients and all partners start to ask a little bit more about where's your G, where's your governance. I need to understand the integrity of the data. I need the shorthand for UKOM data is it's been checked, it's been validated, it's been independently audited. The industry has said this is good enough for us because we understand how it works. There's a lot of talk about black boxes. I would say that Ipsos Iris is a glass box,
And
and that's
what
really
a
important.
great way to close this conversation. Thank you very much, Ian, for bringing us into the depth of the conversation around governance, around transparency, around the standard in online audience measurement. And see you soon.
Thanks, Alessandro. I appreciate the opportunity. It's always good to chat to you. You always bring a fresh perspective, and you always bring a curious one and a completely objective one. And it's nice to have a conversation with somebody who doesn't have an agenda. So thank you very much.